Hello one and all. This is an experiment. I'm in the garden, well, near the garden. I'd have to go out the door to be in the garden, but it started raining just as I was getting set up out here. You would not believe how much work it takes to move some stuff from 20 feet away to out here, but it does, because everything's a bit different and it is so echoey. I don't think there's a way to fix it either, except maybe opening the doors, but it's pouring with rain or spitting with rain. How's everybody doing? This was meant to be an exciting outdoor safari where we were going to go to that bush over there, but I'm afraid to go that far. My camera can handle it. Even my phone, I think, could probably handle a bit of wateriness, but yeah, I don't think that the StopShot and the insect rig could handle it. It's too delicate. It's too difficult to set up, but I'm going to show you how to set it up in just a minute. Can you hear me? Because that's another big concern I have, is being heard. I couldn't bring my microphone out here because I don't have any more plugs to plug things into. Sound and video are good. Well, thank you, Russ. I appreciate that. I see a lot of my friends are here this morning, which is good, because, or this afternoon, or this evening for that matter, because if my enemies were here, I think they'd be sharpening their knives right about now. What we're going to be doing today is focusing quite a lot of attention on this gadget. This is my insects in flight rig. It's from Cognisys. It's called the StopShot, at least part of it's called the StopShot. And I'm going to walk you all the way through the setup of this thing and getting it ready to go. Should you ever be in a position to have a go with one of these, because I feel enormously privileged, thanks to Mr. Jan Nelson, to have the opportunity to show this to you. It's been a tremendous amount of work, but it has been incredibly enjoyable. It's a very complicated gadget. Well, I say that. It's a complicated gadget, but it's made more complicated by the way it's been put together. It's not a precision instrument. Well, it is. It is a precision instrument, but it wasn't built very precisely. There were a lot of modifications that I had to make to get everything squared up and tucked away. Now, I said on Tuesday, when I was talking about this thing and showing the setup, I had a couple of critical comments about the documentation. Since then, I have found some additional documentation. Not a lot, but certainly it covered the areas I was most concerned about, the hooking up the flash and everything. I contacted Cognisys to ask them a couple of questions. I haven't heard back from them, but that might be me. I did check, but didn't see anything. But sometimes they respond with a person's name, and I might not have recognized that. Anyway, we're going to get into that, and when the rain eases up, I'm going to put this thing out there on the, I don't know what it's called. What do you call a piece of the garden that has less mud but more flagstones? Just garden, I think. I'll put it out there where we can keep an eye on it, and we'll see if anything flies over. There have been 2 insects have come in here interested in checking out my flower, but once they saw the door was open, they just made a beeline, quite literally a beeline, right into my house, which is where they'll reappear tonight about midnight, stinging me or something. So that's just the way it is with insects. But we're going to see if we can't catch what in the world is that in my garden? Well, I'm easily distracted when I'm outside because I see things to photograph. The idea is you're supposed to put this thing, either you're supposed to chase insects around with it. They actually have a harness that you can put on. You strap this thing on so that you can go chase insects. That would just be the funniest thing to watch somebody do that. Mr. Littlefield thought I should do that, and he volunteered to film it, but I don't think we're going to go that route. I put it on wheels. This was my own modification. I thought that having it on wheels, whoops, overshot there. If I had it on wheels, I could roll it around. But the trouble is the wheels aren't very good. They're more like kind of square plastic things that just bump along the ground. But it's better than carrying it, I think, and it is quite heavy. The other modification I made is what I call the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. It's just a plant, so it's not really an invention per se. But I had it originally hanging in a homemade macrame basket hanger. Macrame because it was made of string and it had knots in it, the knots to hold the flower pot. And I hung it from the front, and it was very effective and it looked very good. But honestly, I had to water it this morning, and I didn't know what brand of water it liked. So I just poured a bottle of each in that I had, and it's now, I suppose it's peeing is what it must be, because there's water all over everything. So I didn't want to hang it up and just have it drip on the floor. I'm not good with plants, as anybody who witnesses the flower competition results video on Saturday will know. I'm not really very good with them at all. They just basically die around me, is all they do. But that does remind me to say a couple of thank yous, and I'm going to start in no particular order with the most gracious thank you of all to Angie. Angie Wallace and I are judging the flower competition this month, and I did not realize when I asked her to do this that this would be by far the hardest competition so far to judge. There have been a lot of entries and a lot of spectacularly good entries, and it was just difficult. What we've done is we both went through and blinded to the names of the people that had taken the pictures. We selected a group, each of us, a group of finalists. Then we compared notes this morning, and we went through every picture again, and we added a few more that we agreed should be included, because we each got to make an argument for why we thought it should be there. So we have now a group of approaching 20 finalists, of which we have selected winners, runners-up, and honorable mentions. And I decided, because I was running out of time, because I was up all last night editing a video with Larry about Fusion 360. That was the other thing I did in the last 24 hours. So the point was I ran out of time, and so did Angie. She had to dash off. So we're going to record it tomorrow, which is a great idea because it'll give us both a chance to sleep on it and think about our choices. And then we'll do any last minute corrections tomorrow, and then present the whole thing in a video, which I will edit tomorrow and release either tomorrow night or Saturday morning. If it's Saturday morning, it will end up being after the Zoom meeting, which is on Saturday afternoon. And I will need to prepare for. On that, by the way, while we're discussing Zoom on Saturday, Larry and I made this video last night about the basics of Fusion 360 for those who are trying to learn it. I think it'll be very helpful, and I almost said enjoyable, but no, it'll just be very helpful. It is, after all, a computer-aided drafting video, so it's not my forte. But anyway, if you watch that between now and Saturday, and then have an intelligent question or a stupid question, I take either, then Larry and I will attempt to answer them on Saturday in the afternoon. And there is a snake in my garden. That's what it was I was looking at. I thought, nope, it's just a stick, and it has moved. And it's not windy, so yeah, I wonder if this thing does snakes in flight. Probably does. So who else did I need to thank? Christoph. A very special thank you to Christoph, who sent me a jar of dead insects, which normally you'd think was a fairly rude thing to do to somebody, unless you happen to know that they would love these insects. They are rose chafers, and they were collected from a very specific GPS coordinate place in Austria. And the place is selected because apparently all the beetles of this type congregate to eat cherry blossom trees by the million. The beetles, not the trees. Yeah, and that's where my friend Christoph went to get a bottle full for me, and he got me one of each different colour. And they are colourful, they are beautiful. I cannot wait to photograph them. And that's something that I'll be doing in my free time. When I'm 90, I'll do that. Yeah, and I'll post the pictures. So who's here today? I ought to know that. I saw the early comers. There's a lot of you, and a lot of you have things to say. I already said hi to Ray and to David and to Robert. Welcome all of you. Nils is here from Norway. Ingolf is here from Germany. Jim Hefner's here from Washington State. For some reason, Jim, I keep thinking that you're in Alabama, but same difference. Washington State, Alabama, same thing. Lance is here. Greetings, Lance. And let me see. He's also from Washington. No, he's not. He's looking forward to the bug machine. Okay, so I should stop talking then, right? And just show you. Yeah, I think I need to because I'm going to be showing you some detailed stuff. But very, very quickly, let me just say hi to him. Brodian, Phil, who I skipped over somehow. Excuse me, Phil. And Walter, who's got a question. Ibis, on or off when camera mounted on tripod or similar stable platform? Off. Off. Off, off, off. Whenever you have stabilization either in a lens or a body, and the body is stationary, the motor does not stop trying to find the middle ground. So the motor will be chugging back and forth, but it doesn't have anything to stabilize against, and it can cause vibrations in the camera. That's the reason you don't do it. You don't do it with DSLRs either. It'll cause problems. So David Brown is selling an SB 700. I'll have two, please. And hang on, also two SB 600s. They're actually quite nice flashes compared to the ones that, they'd be good. I've got cobbled together some flashes for this. Oh no, I haven't. I changed them last night. Forget I said that. They're good flashes on there. So who else is here? Did that answer your question? I hope so. Robbie, what's up? Always off when on a tripod or a stable surface. I just said that. How did you read my mind? Otherwise, the camera is always struggling to find something that isn't wrong. I would have to say that sounds like two strong votes for the same explanation, same answer. Good. It is always gratifying for me to come up with the same answer as Robbie, because I fear not doing that. It's one of my many fears. Ralph is here, and is so is David from a freezing cold Yorkshire. Well, there you go. That's for living in Yorkshire. Harold's here from Norway, where it's winter still, so it could be worse. It could be worse. Graham, greetings. How are you, my friend? You're going to love this piece of gear here. This is absolutely up your alley. It's so magnificently complicated and beautiful. Angie, I thought you would be asleep by now after today's excitement. Anyway, thank you again for your time today. Susan is probably wondering, well, where is that message you promised 2 days ago? I haven't had a chance to do it, but I haven't been to bed either. So there you go. I will get to it. This afternoon's catch-up afternoon. Let me see. Case is here from the Netherlands, where summer is coming, and so are the insects. And did you hear the music at the beginning? Because I didn't. It doesn't, for some reason, come over the computer when I'm away from my loudspeaker. Good. I'm glad you heard it. I love that music. I can't figure out where the guy is from, but I find him on Epidemic Music, which is where I get all my music, and I license it from there so I can play it whenever I want. And I have hundreds of their songs, but I always just pick one of his because it just makes me happy for some reason. Yeah, it's good foot tapping, kind of happy, jazzy stuff. Yeah, you should check out his albums. They're very good. All right, we're going to have to move. And I think the rain has started again, so we're going to pretend to be outside, and I'll open the door in case anything flies in. Russ, welcome, and thanks for giving me a good sound check. Dimitris is here from Greece. Amy5 is here doing the bouncer duties. Welcome. Arctic Penguin from Seattle. That's an interesting town, but we won't get started on that. Jim's here from Ireland. Welcome, Jim. And now would be a good time to insert ads. Forget that. Now's a good time to talk about the machine. Remind me that I stopped at Michael Wallace. No, I didn't. I went beyond him because I'm going to say greetings to New Zealand and to Michael Wallace. Let me see. Loud and clear, 4x4, all okay. Good. Happy, joy from Peter. That's twice in a row he's been happy. So he needs to have a check, a blood check, I think. That's unnatural these days. Joseph, you missed my message on Tuesday. You are wrong in correcting me about the inventor of synthetic stereo, which is in fact, as proven in emails, Rick Littlefield. And I will share those missives with you, or extracted parts if you wish. But yeah, he jumped all over me for believing you on that. He didn't. He was very good-natured about it, but he was working on it back in 1982, long before the advent of whatchamacallit, Combine. Yep. Anyway, it's an interesting discussion for later. Jan Nelson is here, and that means I absolutely have to stop talking and turn my attention to the thing. Now, I don't know whether or not the other microphone is going to work, so I'm going to leave things the way they are for right now and roll this over to me instead of the other way around. Yeah, you're going to be able to see when I angle this down. Okay, so here's the deal. When you take pictures of flying insects, you have to be very patient, and you have to have good equipment, and you have to know what you're doing. The idea is that when an insect of interest is in the vicinity, especially in flight, you need to position yourself to where you can lead it in flight, or you can capture it flying towards you or away from you. And it's extremely frustrating and difficult. You may shoot 100 photographs for every keeper, unless you're Bruce. If you're Bruce, you'll shoot 100 keepers for every missed shot. But in this case, we're not talking about photographing just the pollinators and other predictable flying insects like damselflies and dragonflies. They always come back to the same spot, and you can usually catch them in flight because they kind of hunt in a pattern. We're talking about the things that don't even know how to fly themselves. Beetles, for example, that just go tumbling through the air willy-nilly with their wings all akimbo. And that's what we want to catch, is things like that. As well as every other imaginable flying thing that gets in the way of my laser beams. So what we need is a way to freeze the action in an instant. And you can't do that with a camera and a flash. This came up, I think, from 5 or 6 different people, all of whom had good trigger systems that they were using to catch insects in flight. And the problem is with any other trigger system where the insect breaks a boundary of some type. If your camera is focused at that boundary, the insect will be gone by the time your shutter releases and the flash fires. There's about a 50 millisecond time delay. Now that's not very much time. In fact, that's a very small, it's a trillionth of a second. It's a 20th of a second. Yeah, it's a 20th of a second. And that's an age in flying insect years. So in that amount of time, your insect's gone and already eaten your flower and headed somewhere else. We need something quicker, and the something quicker is the shutter mechanism on this device. This is where the magic happens, this black box. It's a high-speed shutter that not only fires the shutter very, very quickly, faster than the camera, but also very immediately, like within 5 milliseconds of the laser beams being crossed, it fires the flash and opens the shutter, which means my camera is in bulb mode the whole time. And that allows you to catch things moving very fast right across the field as long as they cross both of the beams. So let me show you a couple of interesting things about the whole setup. Now, you notice that my flower did not move with the rig. That's because it's not attached to the rig like it normally would be. But just use your imagination. Imagine the flower rolling with us. This is going to make it easier for you to see. Now, I have to move things around because my cameraman is off sick again today. That's now 5 years in a row he hasn't made it in. So I should be getting used to it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the other camera and get it close enough for you to actually see what I'm talking about. So let me switch over, if I may. And if somebody would please leave me a note saying that, thumbs up or something to the audio when I do this, just in case we lose audio. But I don't think we will, because I can see the little line going jiggly on the thing. So I think we're okay. But let me know if you can hear me. So I'm going to position the cameras the way you can see. The first thing I want to show you is the alignment process, because this is really quite tricky. Now, the idea is the insect is going to be right here if it passes through the 2 laser beams that cross. So I need to be focused right there. And the way I do that is I turn on the device. You can't probably see this switch, it's up this way. I turn on the device, I leave the shutter off, and I turn on the camera, like so. Now the camera's already set in bulb mode. I'm shooting with an ISO of about 200, the reason being the clouds. I just want to get a bit more light in there. This is a pretty small hole the light's going through. I have my shutter speed on bulb, I already said that, and I'm shooting at f8. I have tested it at all different apertures. I think f8 will probably be a good compromise if we're lucky and catch some eyes. Then what I'm going to do is open the shutter by pressing a button over on the shutter control box, and I'll then put the camera in live view. Now, in order for you to see the good part, which I'll do in just a second, first of all, I want you to see what's going on up here. We have a laser down here that is pointed at a receiver up here. And we have a laser down here that's pointed at a receiver up here. Now, where those beams cross is hard to see unless you have something fairly translucent. And that is what this piece of paper is. It's a square of paper that I picked a crosshatch and made that the center of my live view screen. Then I locked it in place, and then I turned on the lasers and I aimed them not just at the paper but into the receiver on the other side. That's critical. If the light doesn't get into the other receiver on the other side, there is no beam to break. So they have to be intact first, and it takes a lot of work to get the 2 laser beams completely lined up. And you can see that there are 2 because I can shut them one at a time, and they'll eventually both go off. There's the right one, and there's the left one. I think it might be burning a hole in that paper. So the next thing to do is, once the 2 beams are intersecting where I want them to, which is right at that spot, I can confirm it. Now, close your eyes if you're motion sickness prone. Oh, dearie me, this little tripod's heavier than it looks. It's a thrift store tripod from Velbon, and it's absolutely fantastic little metal thing. So here it is. Here's what we're looking at through live view, and let me show you what the view looks like down there. You can see the piece of paper right between the guns, and then when you look at it on the camera, you can see that I've got it as focused as I'm going to. To be honest, I didn't try to focus on the laser beams because they're too bright. See, they blow everything out. I focused on one of the crosses next to it and got it as sharp as I could, because that is going to be where the insect cannot fire the shutter unless it's right there. And if it is right there, it's going to fire the shutter. Simple as that, right? No problem. I'll show you the settings while we're up here in case you're interested, because the StopShot is a complicated and fairly confusing piece of machinery. I'm going to conserve batteries because this process just eats up batteries. I mean, it just uses all kinds of power. The way this works is you have to set a whole bunch of parameters into this box so that it will keep my shutter open. It will release the shutter when it's told to. It will refresh the camera, refresh the sensor every 30 minutes or so to avoid a build-up of noise, because you leave it on for the whole time you're shooting. You leave the shutter open. What else does it have to do? It has to control the timing delay between shutter and flash. It has to manage the flashes. It also has to turn off the laser beams when something crosses them, because you don't want that red dot there when you're photographing the bug. And all that has to happen in a span of 5 milliseconds. The trigger itself has a speed of 50 microseconds. So that's pretty impressive, how fast that all works. So I don't think I haven't shown you what it looks like when it actually works. We'll do this one time because I did this on Tuesday and it's in the recording, but I'll do it one more time just to show you the whole thing working. Then we'll put it outside and cross our fingers. This room, which is a kind of halfway outdoors room, is absolutely, I'm going to move you again, so take your Dramamine. It is absolutely full of dead insects. This room is. Where did they come from? Because all the doors and windows are closed. This is a mystery to me. You would think that they would be in here now if they're all dead on the floor, but nothing has come in through the closed door, so I don't understand it. They are strange creatures. Okay, so I'm going to turn everything on again. We don't need the shutter open, so we can turn that off. And now what I'm going to do is I have the power on here. I have my camera is back on. It doesn't need to be in live view, it just needs to be on. And I've already gone over the settings. Now what I'm going to do is hit this button, which you can't see because you're looking at my face. That's not going to be helpful at all. Let me do this instead. Yeah, that might do it. Maybe a little repositioning laterally. There we go, that's better. Sorry about that. I'll run through that very quickly. I opened correction. I closed the high-speed shutter by hitting this button. That's it open, that's it closed. Turned on the power, and I'm now going to turn on the shutter enable button. Now this will keep my shutter open. That was my shutter opening. So now the shutter is open, it's in bulb mode. It would be recording an image if any light was getting in, but no light's getting in because the high-speed shutter is closed. Then we need to enable our flashes. Now, if you read the Cognisys instructions, it's a little tricky to figure out exactly what they're telling you to do, but it appears to be pretty much hook up all of your flashes to PC sync cords. I don't have flashes with PC sync cords. That's the ones that David is selling to people. I just have Godox MF12s that don't have any kind of plugs, I don't think. So what I had to do was get one flash that I could put on a hot shoe that would work, because not the MF12s don't even have a hot shoe. That didn't sound good, did it? Oh, it's because my piece of paper is in the trigger zone. So this I'm firing through a hot shoe adapter, and then I'm optically triggering all my other flashes, and I have a total of 4 of them, and they're all focused on this area. Now, I showed you on Tuesday how to make these lovely little flying nun's hats out of mylar, and they really work well. This is a nice, soft, well diffused light. So what happens is this: we don't need this anymore, and that will just scare the insects, I think, if I leave it there. I'll just move it to the... I say it'll scare the insects. It's very probable that they'd be scared by the whole contraption if they gave a flying hoot about any of it. But now, everything is primed. Something just flew in front of the sensor, I believe. Could have been a piece of dandruff from my bald head that drifted across there, but if your insect is flying around, you can't see my finger, there it is, flying around in front like this, and decides to go for my plant, which is normally under there, and it crosses these beams, bam. The instant, within 5 milliseconds of touching the beams together, the light flashes. The shutter opens, the high-speed shutter opens, and a picture is recorded and the camera is primed to do it again. Watch. And that is impressive. And the thing that's most impressive is it works. It actually works all the time. I was talking about some of the modifications I had to make to this device to get it all put together. And I'm not going to go over that again because it's a complicated device. The fact that I had to shim a few things and make a few parts to get everything level and aimed right, I guess it's par for the course with something like this. But now the thing that we need to do is get it outside and, well, let me show you the pictures first. So I'm going to turn off the shutter enable so that I can control the camera. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Let's see. Pretty dark. Okay, there's something fishy going on here. Oh yeah, my shutter's still open. I'm in bulb mode. You have to change the shutter speed and then release it to complete the photograph, and then it should, or maybe not. This is a little odd. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's because I've got it on 20 seconds, and then yeah, it's got to finish. Sorry, I had another long exposure going. I may have got it set up to take lots of them. Yeah, now let's see if we can see what we need to. Maybe, there we are. Okay, so this is my finger. Sorry about that. My finger going backwards and forwards through the thing. Could have cleaned them though, couldn't I? They are really quite sharp, these pictures. I took a bunch of them last night. This is a little metal tooth and a green handle to a pliers, but close examination will show these to be really sharp. So I am very excited. This is a tool for image protected, whatever. So this is a tool for a GoPro. The texture on this is amazing. So I really have high hopes that if a bug does fly through this, we're going to be in business. I'm not going to talk while I set this up because I'm going to be out there, but I will point the camera out that way so that you can see what I do. I need to concentrate so I don't drop everything on the concrete. So I'm going to turn the, oh, you can't see what you're on, but you're on a very precarious, excuse me, that was the power socket just came out. You're in a very precarious position here. There, you can see the door. Okay, that's good enough. I'm going to take the plant out first. The rain has stopped. That plant is still peeing. It must have been very dry. Let me see if this picture's any better. Well, it's hard to say. You be the judge. About exactly the same, right? But I can get you a bit closer. All right, let me roll it out. It's all plugged in. Oh, it's not in bulb mode though. I need to put it back in bulb mode, but I'll wait till I'm outside. Oh gosh. The bottom part is actually quite heavy. That's it. I thought that on the way out the door, I might have bumped the, let me see if I can arrange this camera a little better. On the way out the door, I think I might have bumped the laser beams on this and knocked them out of alignment, but they still appear to be working. Though actually, I can see where the laser beam on the, oh dear, that didn't sound good. Sounded like something from Apple hitting the floor. You can just make out, I think, that the laser beam hitting the receiver on the top right is hitting the rim of the receiver, not the sensor. I'm going to go change that. and you thought watching grass grow was fun. You can see now it's hitting inside the receiver housing. The issue is, for a piece of equipment that costs $2,500, it should have some kind of a mechanism for aiming the laser beams, other than unscrewing them and then retightening them. There should be something like a little translation button that allows you to aim them up and down and left and right. I had to put little steel washers as shims into the housings to align them initially, but they get out of alignment very easily, just touching them. Yeah, otherwise, this is a lot like fishing. Have you ever been fishing? It's you know, days and days of doing absolutely nothing, but waiting for a fish to come along. Yeah, this is exactly what this is like. But I would do something else. Did you hear that? Oh, something just triggered it. Did you see that? I don't know what it was. It wasn't very big. There is a wasp nest in the ground at the corner of my house. I'm not going over there because it's the kind that get mad if you go near them. So that's it. How many days would you like to stay here with me while this happens? Because this is it. This is the whole thing. I am thinking about the idea of strapping this thing on and going down to my dragonfly pond. I'd love to get some up-close in-flight stuff of dragonflies hunting, and I can get close enough to them to do that. I would just look so incredibly ridiculous doing it, and I have my reputation to something else just triggered it again. I wonder if I was to take this to a flower bed, one of the city flower beds, we have loads of them, and just stick it down in the flower bed for an hour. I'd probably get a lifetime supply of flying insects. Yeah, but I've yet to see one, so let's start with something a little more reasonable. Let me see if there's any comments, and I hope you're going to be charitable, because, yeah, don't be mean about this. Let me see. I shouldn't have said that, should I? I just jinxed the whole process. It's a splatio, according to David, not a patio, which is good. Dragos' grandma is here from Romania. Greetings. Rob Watt from Peebles. Michelle Cox, fantastic, from the United States of America. And let me see, who else is here? Partio, says Joseph. And yeah, Russ. Would be great on a golf buggy. Did you just hear it went off again? Am I standing in the way? There's nothing to see, but I am hearing shutters. So you can't see anything there because of the door post. Bear with me. Somebody needs to invent something for this. Actually, that's what that was. That was a computer rolling about machine from the hospital. Anyway, where was I? Reading messages and trying to stay out of the way, which I still can't do. I'll do it. I'll read from here. English Country Garden. Oh, I remember that terrible song. Oh, I just saw me move in the other camera because there's a delay on it. And I thought somebody was sneaking up behind me. It was just me sneaking over here. It's one of those days. So Michelle Cox says, we call it a backyard, not a back garden, or not a garden. No, I call it a garden. I mean, it is a garden. It's my garden. It's my back garden. It's different from my front garden. My front garden doesn't have any grass at all. though they come to cut it every 2 weeks. Why? What's that all about? It seems like if you didn't have any, they'd give you a break on the price and just do the back garden, but no. Okay, I should mount it on a perambulator. I don't have a perambulator. Do I look like I would need to have a perambulator in the house? I don't even have... It is going off quite frequently, and I'm excited about that. Yeah, there's something is crossing that path. Yeah, no, I don't have a pram, though I was brought up in one. I wonder where it is. You're right, though. A pram wouldn't be a bad idea. Let me see. I'm in the way again, I know, but I can't read it from an angle. Oh, we've only got 15 minutes. I've got to try to get a picture to show you. Let me see. Now I'm lost. Where was I? I hate when I do that because it's unprofessional for me to go hunting for where I was, but it moves all on its own. The slidey bit does. So Russ and Chris and people are swapping pints. It just went off again. Pictures of raindrops. That might be what it is. That might be what it is. It might be photographing raindrops. That would be super disappointing unless they're fascinating to look at. All right. Hay fever, where did that come from? Mulberry trees. I thought they were mulberry bushes. Yeah. I don't like hay fever. God, I had it bad when I was a kid. Sam, is everything running on batteries or does it have a power supply? Power bank reserve, says Sam in earnest. It has a block of 4 18650s that are taped together as the power bank. Those batteries are 3.7 volts each. So the whole thing is 14.4 volts. They're all wired in parallel. So they last a fairly long time, but they're not putting out a great deal of voltage. In fact, the voltage across the whole system is just 3.7 volts. So that's running all the microcontrollers and which probably aren't using, but 5 volts, and then the shutter. All the cameras and the flashes are running on battery, which is the big limiting thing here. I'm close enough to the house that I could easily have everything running the way I do in my studio, where nothing is on battery. But I wanted this to be a test for taking it out into nature, because I really am planning on taking it down to that pond. If the rain stops, I might do that this evening. That would be so much fun. This device is probably better used in the evening or at night. The problem during the day is you're going to get ghosting, and you need more power to get light on your subject to overcome the light in the sky. I have got mine set up where my background is not actually actively being lit, but if you do that, it further complicates it. I just think it would be easier to do in the evening than to do during the day. But today's very overcast, so maybe we'll get good pictures today. Let me see. So everything is running on batteries. But enough, I think, that with a little bit of luck, the limiting factor is the terrible battery life of the AA cells in the TT350. That is the weak link of everything in my studio, is a TT350. That thing will go dead, and when it goes dead, none of my other flashes will fire. I should have put a bigger speed light on, but I was really trying to keep the bulk down. You don't need any power. That's why I have 5 flashes on it, is you need light, enough of it, and you need it coming from good direction, and you need it well diffused, but you don't need to have it on 1/4 power. It's on I think everything is on 1/64, which should be plenty. I mean, I think we'll see in a little bit. Also, like fishing, is you have to leave your worm in the water. But I get very impatient. I want to. It just did it again. I want to see if something has possibly eaten my worm, because otherwise, if it has, I'm sitting there holding a hook. Nothing will eat the hook except a mackerel, and our ponds don't have mackerel in them. So yeah, I want to go check it, but checking it will. That was something else. That was an air conditioner going off. So checking it will ruin it, and it'll yeah, because when it's turned off, it's not taking pictures. So we'll go look at it when we've just got a couple of minutes left. Lance hopes I get an image. Not as much as I do. I feel like my reputation is... No, my reputation I think was shot long before this. But yeah, it could have been on the line under other circumstances. You are going to love, love, love these pictures in the flower competition. I'm blown away by how many good ones there are. And I am deeply pained that so many good, it did it again, so many good photographs did not make it through because they were great. They just weren't as great as the ones that did. And yeah, and I'm not going to blame anything on Angie. I'm going to take full responsibility for it. She is a great judge. And you know something else? I'll tell you this in detail tomorrow or in the video. But Angie is not actually a flower photographer. She just takes world-class flower photographs, but that's not her thing. You know what kind of photographer she is? She's a red-eyed tree frog photographer. Now, I thought insect photographer was pretty specific, but that's what she does. She photographs frogs, but only if they've got red eyes. I've never seen one, so I would have to just give up altogether. But yeah, I got her to promise that she would bring a couple of red-eyed frog pictures to show us, because I would love to see those. I've seen a children's book about that, but they weren't pictures, they were paintings. Very, very bad paintings. So where were we? Catching raindrops in lasers. Yes, that's it, trader. That's what I'm doing. And I'm having a good time doing it, you know. I don't think it's raindrops. I think it's bugs. I think you're all going to be eating crow this evening. Your version 1 or version 2 of the shutter? Yes, I am version 1 or version 2 of the shutter. Unless there's a version 3 and I could be that. I don't know. The pictures lead me to believe this is version 2. Because it's not nearly as bulky as version 1. Jan Nelson may be able to answer that. No, that was me again. That was my shoulder moving from before that looked like somebody sneaking up behind me. I'm a little jumpy about that after what happened in the parking lot the other day. So, yeah, well, it's about time. Let me run out and grab it. Let me see if there's anything else. A message saying, whatever you do, don't go out and grab it. We've been watching big insects get closer and closer. Yes, you do have to show this to your wife, because it will put everything weird that you do in good perspective, and it will probably rekindle something in the relationship. So by all means, share this with her. Oh dear. And Chris and Chris and Joseph are going on about the quality of their nasal. That was an insect, because it went off twice. Did you hear that? Could have been 2 raindrops, but I think it was an insect. This machine makes a rail look like a cakewalk. It makes a rail look not like a machine. I mean, it's so mundane. I was sent, I told you about the rose chafers. I'm going to photograph one of those this afternoon. They are beautiful. And I'll be doing it on a rail, and I'll be wondering what all the fuss was about. The rail is very basic compared to this. This thing, yeah, it's complicated. I said on Tuesday, to like this, you would have to be the kind of person that if you bought online, say from a nice Chinese company, if you were to buy a nuclear generator online, and it came with a book of instructions, and the first instruction was a picture of a country with an arrow pointing to it, telling you where to go dig up the plutonium ore that you would need. If that would be your idea of, oh, fantastic project, you know, you get to do everything, you would love putting one of these together, because it is basically a box of 1 trillion parts. And yeah, you have to figure it out from pictures of the completed thing, mind you. But I said I wasn't going to complain about that. Let me go get the machine. Hang on. It's really heavy. I am happy to report there was actually, that was a false alarm because we're inside and it went off. But there's something crawling around in the plant that may have triggered it. So let's have a look. And I'm going to switch cameras so that I can get you in a bit closer, if this one is still functioning. Let's have a look. All right, so we're back on the Velbon. Let's see if I can get the camera screen nice and close. Oh gosh, this is going to be so crushingly disappointing if I don't have at least a tiger beetle landing. Let's zoom in. I don't think you can zoom in actually. Let's just get it centered. Alrighty, let's turn off everything. Let me turn off the flashes before I forget so that I can come back out here this afternoon and keep going. Because I am going to, if I have to resort to dangling dead insects on pieces of string in front of this thing, I need to get some flying insects for you guys. So, why am I not in bulb mode? I put it in bulb mode. Okay, that's why. Alrighty, so let's put it back up to something normal and then take a look. Nothing. Not even a raindrop. I don't know what's going on here. I don't much like it though. Let's try that again. All I'm seeing is noise. Okay, I don't know what. That's my finger, and that shouldn't be there. Nope. Okay, this was a crying shame, but I think for some reason the the camera wasn't firing, or it wasn't even picking up. Maybe it was the flashes that were not doing right. I will figure this out. How disappointing is that? Probably not. Probably if there had been a bet going on, I'm willing to say that 90% of you would bet on me not successfully getting a picture with this thing the first time out. So that would have been good money. I'm going to take this and put it by the wasp nest, I think, and just try my luck there. Because those things, they don't care about cameras. Unless they want your camera, then they'll just come and take it. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing. Something was being photographed. I need to figure out what it is. I will post what I catch on Discord and on Patreon for your laughing pleasure. And I'll have the last laugh though, because when I become the world's leading insect photographer of bugs in flight, yeah, I won't be nice to you if you laughed at me now. So I will see you guys, if you're presumers, I'll see you on Saturday, when we're going to be taking questions and giving answers relating to the basic operation of Autodesk's Fusion 360. An immensely gratifying thing to learn, but quite complicated. It's a little bit like this machine in some respects. What else? On Tuesday we have a live stream. Next Thursday there's a live stream. And I've now lost count of how many videos. I released one this morning. I'll be releasing one on Saturday. I've recorded 2 and I'm recording 2 more this weekend, which are going to be released with a certain mystery lens. So things are heating up around here. Yeah, you need to be along for the ride, I would say. So thank you all for coming. I am going to, as usual, say goodbye so that those of you who are leaving can leave without feeling guilty. And then I'm going to rush through this to make sure I haven't missed a question. So if you need to get back to work, off you go. And I'll see you on Saturday or Tuesday or some other time. And yeah, if you're sticking around, if you ask the question, stick around because I'll answer it. Where's my pad of paper? Hang on a second. There's a big blue bottle fly just buzzing around inside the house. Don't forget to check out the flower competition results. You're probably wondering why I won't tell you. Well, it's because the video's not out, and it's Angie that's going to tell you. So definitely be on the lookout for that tomorrow night or Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning. A lot of contingencies in there. It'll be out this weekend or before. And Larry Strunk and I are going to do the 360 tomorrow. And I was going to show you the new studio. I'm not going to. You know what? I'll show you the window. It is not. Have you ever seen the studio of? Oh, now I'm not going to remember. Carl Taylor's studio in the Channel Islands or the Canary Islands. My studio's not like that. His has, you know, white walls, high ceilings, fancy equipment, Hasselblad cameras. Mine, there's nothing actually about mine that would remind you of that. That's the window you're now looking at of my studio. It's just a room, a little room with a lot of equipment piled up. Very boring. Do you want to know why my office is so clean? It's because I moved all the stuff. Oh, I haven't had you on the right camera, have I? Sorry. My office is clean because I moved everything into the kitchen. This is an old man thing. You can make a room look spectacular just by shoveling everything into another room. And then if you need the other room, you have to shovel it further. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I will just keep on rambling. I am going to go catch some bugs in flight, come hell or high water. And next time I see you, I will be brandishing them. So goodbye, everybody. Thank you for coming, Baconmeister. I hope you are feeling better. Even though you consider this a failure, I won't hold that against you, but I'm glad you're feeling better and back home. Good for you. And everybody else probably already left, so yeah, I had a blast. This is my favorite thing to do of the week. Absolutely, hands down, my favorite. So thanks for coming, and I'll get some pictures for you. Take care. Have a good one.